Okay, the rules are very simple, so pay attention. The task: blitz through as many statements in 30 minutes. The panel will give their opinions on each statement, but they will have to work together to agree or disagree on the statements before moving on to the next. The panel for episode 5. From the 70s Newtown, via Wales, the President, David Lloyd. From down south, in the UK, the Chrome King, Chris McCarthy. From the University City, the film fan, it's Jamie Stockwell. Welcome to the run-in.
I don't think it will. I think All In maybe as an AEW presence, like as an AEW in general, will probably be, good for wrestling in the UK. But I think as a wrestling card hobby, I don't see any impact whatsoever with this really. If anything, things have taken a downturn with the hobby in the UK over the past 6 months. Everyone seems to be harking for Panini stuff that just isn't there. And I think the interest in card hobby has gone down in the UK.
Well, first of all, the Squared Circle Relics podcast episode, everyone. How strange is this? I randomly selected the order of all of these, and this came up. So sorry, guys, you're gonna have to deal with us, the Brits. So I thought Jamie would be more positive towards this, actually. I'm a bit shocked because Jamie is the most positive of one of us three. He always has been. I would like to say positive. I would like to be positive and say it's of course help you get on a product from a big event. Of course, it's going to help, but Jamie is right. The product has not been hot, and it's very hard in the UK to actually find AEW product. It's not as readily available as Panini products. So you add those two into it. It's very weird as well. We've obviously had when AEW has been red hot, we've had no product at all, and not just in the UK, but worldwide, right? And when it's not hot, they just seem to be releasing product every month, which seems really strange. But ultimately, I don't see it's not going to help having All In and getting more eyes towards wrestling cards. I'm sure it has done, but it's very hard to say because of the lack of product in the UK that it's going to increase the hobby as it was.
I'm with Jamie on this one. I think you'd like to think that the success of All In would help, but doesn't look like it. When the Card Foundation boys had Billy Celio on last time, I think they asked my question
Card
about
Foundation down there, by the way.
cheap plug.
Cheap plugs.
They had when they had Billy on there, I asked about, is it possible, in the future to see some product being released at retail in the UK or Europe? And he said it was sort of a question above his head or above his pay grade, so to speak. It's just I just think they've missed a trick by not capitalizing on it sort of straight away, getting Skybox Metal, Allure, and then Flagship 2023 available to the UK. It's clearly a big market. I wish that they would, but it doesn't look like they will. And one last thing is that you can, for instance, at retail buy certain other Upper Deck products like the Versus system, and there's some Doctor Strange cards out at the moment that you can get in the UK. So I don't understand the reasoning why, but no, I don't have any confidence in it, and I don't think that we'll see anything this year, at least, or next year.
If AEW made a concerted effort to bring their cards over here, so for example, at All In, if they had a few hobby boxes and blasters at the merch stand, that probably would have gone a long way. And I think also if you started put like maybe it's a different time now, but if you had some posters in the back of the souvenir book or in magazines and stuff like that to say upper deck cards are now available, then maybe you would have seen that increase in the hobby. But I think all in on its own, I don't think that has had an impact on the wrestling card scene here in the UK.
I would go a bit further than that, mate, and just say, like, because I know both Chris and I'm not sure about Jamie, but I know Chris and I have both been recently to card shows in the UK. Upper Deck at tops are there, Upper Deck are not there. Where is Upper Deck? All they need to do is to. A go-go isn't doing anything, right? Not that we know of, anyway. Get a go-go, a few pens, get a few people to put some Upper Deck shirts on. Christ, we'd even do it. You know what I mean? Get a banner and a few of like 5x7 cards, like the giant a go-go cards. Get them signed up as promos. Sell a bit of hobbies and at card shows and plug it. Basically, you know what I mean? That's if you want to appeal to collectors, that's one of the ways you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you want to go one better than that, Will Ospreay.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's such a big star, UK.
Well, he's only just signed, really, hasn't he? So, but
yeah, you never know.
In recent months, they could have done something with, if they wanted to, but I don't know where AEW stand with Upper Deck with regarding them as a product, as a cards. Are they fully behind Upper Deck? Are they not fully behind? Do they really care about the income that they get from the cards? I just don't know. I hope I'm trying to be positive about this. I hope it's all rosy and they want to, but when it comes to the UK, I just don't think we are a known entity as being card collectors, and they don't pay us any time or attention in the UK. So is the decision, boys? The decision no. I take it is it's a
I don't
no.
think it's a no.
Man, honestly, I thought you boys would be coming to the table with this with a yes. So,
Yeah, I think they're not rare. They're just you make a certain amount. This is the budget to make these. It doesn't. It does make them rare though, doesn't it? Come back to me. I'm gonna have to
work
think on
yourself
this,
work
John.
yourself into a shoot there, but
I don't know. I don't know what side of the fence I'm on here.
I mean, that my opinion is short print is a card term and rare is what they are. Like Chris said, they are rare. I think this is kind of a mute point. An independent card is rare. It just happens to be that a short print is how you would call a rare card in the hobby. So, yeah, I don't really know the sound of this really. They are rare cards and short print at the same time. So, and I don't know necessarily if production cost is what comes down to it. Ultimately, independent shows don't have that much budget. They've got to try and move these things in the first place anyway. And the audience that you got for them are going to be, okay, yes, they're massive later on down the line because these people become big stars. But when they're on the independent scenes in these small little companies in Ashbury, New York or something, like no one knows who they are. So why would you print hundreds of them? You just wouldn't do that anyway as an independent card company. I know here in the UK we've had on the UK Indies, like in the early 2010s, we had some British wrestling cards. They were limited to a print run of 100, and they went around the whole country where people were sort of having them on their merch stalls because that's the only way you would sell those cards. So I think it just comes to what the wrestler wants to put out in the first place and what the company want to put out. So yeah, there you are.
so I would lean into the fact of let's go back two examples. Let's go back into take our time machine. let's Doc Brown it back in time to the 80s, and let's look at All Stars. That's an independent card. That's not made by that's not made by any wrestling company. It's not made by the wrestlers. It's an independent card. There always seems to be quite a large amount of those cards about, especially like the Hogans and the Flairs. You could always go and buy one. I wouldn't. No, there's some cards that have come out recently, and if I look online, they're not available. If I look for that Hogan card, I'd always find one, but they still cost an absolute arm and a leg, and way out of my budget. But it's because of the popularity of them. It's because of the rarity of them. With regarding, there's not millions of them, but they are on sale because generally people want money for them and they're gonna get it, right. We move forward in time and we can look at, the companies these days, independent companies who are around and wrestling companies, and they generally don't necessarily make singles, but they'll make card sets of people in like a holder, basically like a little card holder for these sets that they make, and they sell them at what, $40-$50, and you get some rookies in there. You get some unique elements in there. There's a company in Liverpool that we're aware of called TNT that make card sets of the extreme wrestling side of stuff, and they're churning them out basically every event that they have. We still need to get them, boys, and review them for the show one time. But ultimately, are they a rare set in themselves? Probably not, but there's some rare cards in there because they're the first of people. I'm not going to say that they're true fucking rookies, but I will say, sorry, Margaret, but I will say that they are there are going to be some rare cards in there from years to come. So I I really don't think it's to do with production costs and short printing generally. I just think that some independent cards are rare. Look at the MJF cards. There's limitless cards, the Lehman, whatever it's called, but Lyman,
Jim
whatever it's
Lyman
called,
one,
Jim
yeah.
Lyman. They cost money, and I don't think it's due to the fact that they are. I just think it is due to the fact that they are what they are. You can get them, but everyone knows there's not a hell of a lot of them. But yeah, I think I'm with Jamie.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm with the boys on this one. So, yeah.
Go
So
on,
I think-
Jamie.
I
Go
think we're
on,
in agreement.
Jamie.
Rare, they are rare in themselves, but that's not as a result of production costs. I think it is just the print runs of them at the time of being made, and the rarity comes with them is that if people are selling them, I think it's obviously down to the quality. He's mentioned those 82 All-Star cards, Lloydie. Well, yes, there's lots available, but how many are in pristine condition at this point? They're a magazine card, weren't they, ultimately?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, in time, these are going to get more dog-eared and the quality isn't going to be the same stock as your tops and your paninis. So in time, they will it's going to become rarer in that way. So,
But even like in some of those cards, even the PSA fours, as you, even if they're not graded, but relatively we call them the PSA fours or the threes or whatever. They look dog-eared and whatever. They still go for money.
They're still
You know what I mean?
valuable,
They're
aren't
still
they? Yeah.
valuable. Not necessarily with Panini. Can you imagine a dog-eared Panini card going forward? It's no. Uh, 100%. They are way too complex. I do like the fact that there's these little nooks that they do of complexity that unless you're really looking for it, you won't see them. but there's so many inserts, there's so many parallels. I think a lot of the sets, especially the fact that we've had so many recently as well, a lot is getting lost in the wash. Um, and I think it's more to the detriment of the products than it's a positive these days, to be honest. Um, I think less. We debated this recently on the Squared Circle Relics podcast. Another little plug. But I would say that just less packs in your hobby box. This is what Panini does, right? They do less packs in the hobby box, less cards in your packs, maybe, and just take out some of the inserts and the parallels, and let's just get back to bit to basics. I think. Um, I, I think the worst thing is about it is that I see, like, I've obviously done this, and I've picked up parallel or two that people have not have looked and gone, oh, hang on a second, they've missed it, you know what I mean? And I feel bad then. It's a win picking up for so cheap, but I do feel a bit bad when I do pick it up for so cheap, because I'm thinking to myself, if they knew that it was probably worth 10 times more money than I'm buying it for, you know what I mean? Maybe I should be honest about it, but I don't know, man. It's a tough one, but yeah, they are way too complex.
Yeah, I'm pretty much similar to Dave. I think they are too complex, set wise, but I do like that personally. But I can understand how, set collectors, for instance, maybe find it a little bit too much. Um, but at the same time, I'm quite kind of a set collector to a degree, and I also like the longevity of the chase of trying to chase all these. I'm still trying to get all of the chair shots from Spectrum, whenever the hell that came out, 2022 or something, 2021. I'm not sure.
2021, but it came out in 2022, right? I think
That's it.
something like
That's
that.
it.
I don't know.
Something like that. So yeah, I do like the fact that it takes a while, but I can totally understand how it's frustrating for people trying to do the whole set. I think we know one of them who's trying to still do series one, so maybe go over to him now.
I mean, first of all, I think AEW is a complex set to collect. But I think this is the way the hobby is just going. Like, we seem to have moved away from having a base, a couple of inserts, and then obviously a few relics. Like, you've only got to look across the board of the wrestling card hobby. You've got so many different color parallels, so many different versions, different numbers of the same golds and yellows, and I think this is just the way the hobby is going. I don't think this is a purely an AW Upper Deck issue, but I will agree that since Upper Deck took over, so if you look at that first flagship, we had a few parallels and a few inserts. Upper Deck have definitely ramped up, and we've seen this with the 2023. Like, there are so many different inserts with different ratios and different numbers of them, and you can only say, for example, the playing cards. Some of the playing cards are up to this, and then some of them are up to this, and within that set, you've got ratios of ratios in between those sets. So it becomes a complete minefield. So I think if you're a completist or a base set collector, it makes it that much harder to try and get that complete set. But I don't think this is a purely AEW Upper Deck thing. I think this is across the board the way the hobby is going, because I think a lot more people now are PC in particular people, and it allows people to get those rainbows. And I think that's because the way we collect is different to how we did 15, 20 years ago.
I think it's pretty straightforward from us all, really. They are too complex, but ultimately, sometimes it's not a bad thing, sometimes it's a good thing. I think recent times it has been, over the last couple of sets they've released, I think it has been a bit, considering how much product they've released and how complex they are. It's like, how are you supposed to complete them from one to the next, especially master completers like yourself? Like, it's never going to happen, right?
I think if you know what you're doing with a hobby and know what to expect, I think it's easier to understand. I know it shouldn't be something you have to decipher, but I think, like you said earlier, around like what not breakers and stuff like that is where it becomes very difficult for them if they're ripping box after box and trying to pick out what they've got and what they are. Some of them are really subtle. Um, but yeah, I think I think I might be slightly off for this one. That I don't think it's purely an upper deck issue. I think this is across the board. So yeah,
I
that's
think
my
they've been worse though.
I think Upper Deck are the worst for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The flagship 2023 has been, inundated with inserts. We've seen so many that, yeah.
Well, I said the parallels in Allure with all of the die cuts and the color
Color flows,
yeah,
and
you know, all of them. I do think that they've went a bit overboard with Allure as well, but ultimately, I think with AEW, a lot of people just PC who they like, i.e., wrestler or two that they like, but also as well, they will PC a part of the set
the
that they
set,
like,
yeah.
and not all of it, you know. So I think that's definitely changed people's PC habits, buying habits over the last couple of years for sure, especially with AEW.
all in agreement then that we think it is too complicated.
Yeah, I think we're agreeing that it's like complex, but not necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, I think in some ways, yes, it has, but we don't seem to have like the sets we had through Tops. So with Tops, we kind of had the budget in between sets for like the Road to WrestleManias and all these match card sets. And we don't really have that within Panini really at all, do we? So I think as Panini Prism, I think you're just getting back to basics of your traditional trading card set. And also Prism is a name that everyone recognizes across the hobby. So I think that's where you're getting at to that because there isn't really a Panini equivalent of these match dated cards and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much really with me. So Panini Prism, yeah, it's a nice back to basics product for me that I quite like and I have missed really as well.
It's hard to agree with this because generally Tops had said most of their products were not matched cards, right? Their flagship was, and their NXT was in Tops, right? I'm just trying to think of Heritage wasn't, Chrome wasn't,
Heritage wasn't, though.
Undisputed wasn't. So the majority, I would say, of the sets that they had were definitely not match cards. Prism, I think it's a difficult one with Prism because obviously it definitely increased the amount of people coming into the hobby, right? Because of what happened with Prism in that time frame, and just wasn't Prism as well. It was AEW. It was a perfect storm. We've covered this on our show many times, and so has CFP, right? Many times. But I would say that I mean, and Panini as an entity have done match cards with NXT as well. So it's hard to say that Prism bought anything new or different because it was already happening with Tops. So Chris, I mean,
You
let's go to
say
you.
that. So, like, I found, like, on a personal level, I found the first year of Prison like refreshing. Do you know what I mean? It was something new, and it was just a little bit different. I thought the photography was a lot better. Take The Rock, for example. Obviously, we know Tops used a lot of the kind of 2010s Rock images with, whereas the image in Prism 2022 was The Rock. I want to say The Rock Bottom, wasn't it? He's given The Rock Bottom out.
2021. 2022 is the rock bottom.
Yeah. So, you know, it was something, and but it was from the era that, you know, we kind of remember The Rock more for. His actual wrestling
With the
career.
sideburns.
The
Rock with sideburns, yes.
So yeah, I would say it was quite refreshing to not get any kind of match cards for a while. Obviously, you say there was some in NXT. Do you mean Panini NXT or
Panini NXT? That was.
See, I don't remember match cards in that.
There's highlights.
Okay.
I think that Bron Breaker green that you've got for me recently, that's a match card, kind of.
I guess, yeah. I just think that Topps did, like, they do like a whole like their NXT was a whole set of match cards, and that was too far in my opinion. So I found Prism to be something new and quite fun to get away from the match cards. I don't think it helped that Topps' last, I want to say their last product was their flagship 2021, and that was
match cards.
Yeah, that was a lot of match cards.
Yeah.
So it might have felt like, do you know what I mean? Coming away from that, so to speak.
Yeah.
Quite nice.
So I think we're talking about match day. I think there is a place for match day cards. I would like to see Panini have a stab at doing some kind of like classic match inserts like we had with Topps a little bit. You know, we said like top 10 SummerSlam matches or like those kind of things would be quite nice in a Panini format and really delve into the Panini with some cool imagery. But yeah, I think Prism in itself, as Chris said, is a nice change. But yeah, I think a match dated card sets they can go in the bin. They're absolute garbage, and I hate them.
In the bin.
In the bin. But we disagree with the statement, right? In the sense that there wasn't like a complete. I mean, there were still match cards in Topps, and there were still sets without match cards in Topps. So I don't know.
I still feel like Topps had way more match cards than we've seen from Panini. Yeah.
Topps relied so heavily for so many of their sets. I know the made big ones they didn't, but we had a lot of them.
If the question was Panini, then I think the outcome of this decision would be different. But it's because it's specifically just Prism.
Prism, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think they will ever go away. They've been around a long while now. I want to say the 1800s. Does anyone want to? Yeah, you're nodding at me.
1880 or is it
1880s?
Something like
that.
A lot longer.
So I love physical things. I don't ever want to see a world where we don't have that option of physical things. So yeah, I think they'll be around for a while.
I think digital media with the card world, I mean, it was NFTs was more of the potential. This is what's going to be next, and it just didn't work. I mean, not necessarily NFTs didn't work, but the money fell out of ETH, whatever you want to call it. The monetary level, the money fell away, right? So, I can't ever imagine, even with Top Slam coming back, hopefully, fingers crossed, which I love Top Slam, and most of my money will go from physical cards to Top Slam, no doubt, when it comes back. The only problem is that it will never replace the physical media, in my opinion. It's just, I can't see it. The thing is, like, it's a difficult one for us because we're not American, because trading cards is an American pastime, right? And I can just see this as being a pastime that will never go away in America.
I mean, I think there will always be a place for physical cards. I think maybe if you look 20 years from now, it may be a bit like vinyl was 10 years ago, where vinyl kind of come in. It was only like real sort of collectors who are still doing it. which is maybe you may see less print runs, but more sort of exclusive cards, if that makes sense. I think the advent of digital cards will still be here, but I don't think it will be for what we want as sort of hobby collectors. But I think there is always going to be a place for trading cards in a physical form. It will just be whether or not it's in the numbers that it is now.
I think Jamie's just said it the best there, hasn't he? That I think it might decline in the amounts we're seeing. And I think as well, like with our age group, it's, you know, our kind of age bracket that are buying these. So maybe as we get older, maybe we'll see less, but I still think they'll be around.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to go. Not in our lifetime, I don't think. I'd be very surprised.
I mean, I think just really like fun to add into that as well. You look at other parts of like so video game collecting. Okay, we're moving to a pretty much digital thing with video games, but there is still going to be a collector's edition that people pay a lot of money for to get some physical version of it. Or, you know, DVDs and movies, there's always going to be a big box set that has something cool in it that people are going to pay a lot of money for. And I think cards may do the same thing. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. Cards will live forever.
Hello everybody, so please come and look at our channel. I know you're watching us here today, but please, if you haven't, come see our channel. It's the Wrestling Card Alliance, the run-in. We have all our episodes. This is episode 5, so please go and watch the other 4 episodes. We also have links to the Square Circle Relics podcast as well. We've got links to Chris's channel as well. Cambridge Trading Cards are in there as well. So a whole host of things, so please come, like and subscribe if you may be so bold. That would be fantastic, lovely, thank you. And can watch the rest of our shows as well. Also, please go and listen to the Card Foundation. They have a Patreon. You can go across there now, become a Patreon member, sign up to their Facebook. Fantastic. So many things, so much content, guys. Great, thank you.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, Dave's just said it there, but you can find us on YouTube, Wrestling Card Alliance, and you can find myself at Cambridge Trading Cards. I've just hit a big milestone for me as well. I've just hit 400 subscribers, so thank you to anyone who's subscribed, and come and subscribe to the Wrestling Card Alliance channel as well.
So yeah, you can find us, of course, over at our YouTube here, the Wrestling Card Alliance, the run-in. I think this is my last appearance. I think as well. I don't think I'd appear any further. I think I'm all done now for this season, so I'll see you in season 2. Yeah, if you want to listen to the Square Circle Relics podcast, as the boys said, you can find us across all platforms. Head over to Spotify, Audible, now on YouTube, anything like that. You can find Square Circle Relics podcast. We talk about cards every fortnight. And if you want to find me in particular, I'm at Jamie Stocker over on Twitter.